Life's greatest battles. Life's greatest battles. The reality is we're all fighting something. It could be something medical. It could be something financial. It could be something spiritual. We're all in a battle. And some of us are winning. And some of us are not. Some of us are not only losing, but we feel defeated. It's one thing to take an L and know you're going to come back. It's another thing to feel defeated. A feeling of defeat is hard to overcome. And when you're in a battle that makes you feel defeated, what I want you to know and understand from this series is that people who are winning do things that people who are not winning can do. Winning in life's battles is not exclusive to a select group of people. Even people who aren't winning can start winning if they do the things that winners do. And so over the course of this series, I'm going to talk about living with disability. It could be some kind of health challenge, medical challenge, a disability that you have. And some people, sometimes when you have a disability and you're living with a disability and you're battling a disability, that's kind of outside of us. Most people who have a disability of some sort got that disability not because of their own doing. It was kind of the hand they were dealt. And some people believe, since this is the hand I was dealt, I want to call a misdeal. Now you're playing cards and you don't like the hand you get, so you throw a card on the floor and say, I ain't got all my cards. Deal over. I want a better hand than this. But I want to say that everybody living with some type of limitation or disability, that God is the dealer and he's omniscient and he has a plan for your hand, no matter how it looks. Then I want to talk about at some point fighting life's battles as it relates to substance abuse and addictions. And I want to talk about fighting life's battle in the area of injustice, whether it's gender injustice or racial injustice or social injustice, discrimination in every sense of the word. But the one challenge I want to give today, which is kind of more difficult and more challenges, is the battle for sexual purity. The battle for sexual purity. Whisper to somebody next to you and say, it's going to be quiet in here today. Then tell them, but don't be quiet because it's going to seem like he's talking about you. So just stand and say, yeah, tell them, Pastor, tell them. They need to know this. So this is a hard topic, but let me start with what winners do. Let's talk about what winning people do. I'm going to give you 5 things. There's a man named Ryan Snow who has what he calls the 5 G's of goals, and I'll probably be the kind of dancing around these things throughout this series. But one of the things that winners do is they have grand visions. That's the first thing. It is not in my point, so I'm giving freestyling, Melvin. Grand vision. And so a grand vision is when you look at your life 5 years from now and then look at it again 10 years from now and say, where do I want to be in 5 years? Where do I want to be relationally in 5 years? Where do I want to be financially in 5 years? Where do I want to be spiritually in 5 years? Where do I want to be physically in 5 years? And then where do I want to be in 10 years? That's a grand vision. It is a big picture. And that kind of dream should be limitless. The reason why you want to dream out 5 years or 10 years is because it takes off the natural human limitations that we place on ourselves in closer time proximity. For example, what you could say I want to do in 10 years, you could say, well, that's possible in 10 years. But if I say, what do you want to do? If I talk about what you want to do next week, you're going to say, you won't say the same thing. You're like, there's no way I can do that right now. I don't have the time. I don't have the resources. I don't have the training, etc. I don't have the connections. But when you say 10 years, 5 years, then that takes the limits off. You understand what I'm saying? People who win have a grand vision. The second thing they have are goals. Your goals are shorter burst steps towards the grand vision. So a goal should be somewhere between 30 to 60 to 90 days. They're measurable and they're time sensitive, but they're also aligned with the grand vision. So my goals are steps towards the grand vision. My goals are steps towards the ultimate dream. The third thing that people who win have in place is a game plan. The game plan is the specificity of what I'm going to do today. Not in 30 days, not in 60 days, not in 90 days, not in 5 years, not in 10 years. What's going to happen today? What do I need to do in each day that's connected to the goal, that's connected to the grand vision? So if you're in business, right? Most people are in business, but they don't want to sell. There is no business without selling, y'all. You have to sell. And in order to sell, you have to have conversations with people, and most of the people you converse with will not buy from you. So you got to have a mentality that I've got to have a certain amount of calls, a certain amount of conversations on a weekly basis. So let's just say that every day you need to make 10 calls. If you make 10 calls a day, 5 days a week, let's just say that. If you make 10 calls a day, 5 days a week, that's 50 calls a week, 52 weeks in a year is 270. I shouldn't have did that in front of y'all. I think that's 270. 52 times 50, do it for me. What is it? Somebody could have did it on their phone by now. How many was that? 52 times 50. 2,600. So if I do 50 calls a week, 52 weeks a year, that's 2,600 calls, right? Now watch this. Thank you, Christina. Now, 2,600 calls, right? So if I got to make 2,600 calls a year to meet my goal and to get ultimately to my grand vision, that means I got to make 10 calls. The game plan is 10 calls a day, right? 5 days a week. But what if on Monday I said, nah, I'm gonna go to the park. I'm not gonna make the calls today. If I don't make it up on Tuesday and make 20 calls, I'm going in the hole. Hal Elrod says, never make a bad day into two. Never allow a bad day to turn into two. So if you're supposed to make 10 calls a day and you don't make, and you skip Monday and Thursday, that means you made 30 calls this week. If you miss 20 calls a week for 52 weeks, you missed 1,000 calls. Now you only made, if you, okay, do that. 20 times 52. 20 times 52. I'm just saying, if you don't, what's that? 1,040. So if you subtract 1,040 from 2,600, which I don't know what that answer is, I'm just saying you're already like 1,500 and something calls. You're 1,000 calls short. Then you're wondering at the end of the year, why didn't I make my goals? Because you didn't stick with the plan. Like if you're going to miss a day on Monday, you got to double up the next day. Because you can't afford to make up what you're losing. And I'm saying some people have a grand vision. They even have goals, but they're not committed enough to do the game plan. So what's the fourth thing you need is guidance. This is for any goal in your life. You got to have guidance. What is guidance? It is external pressure and support and encouragement. Guidance. It is wisdom. Guidance can come from a book, it can come from periodicals, it can come from podcasts, it can come from movies, videos. Who's coaching you? A lot of people like reading a lot of books, right? Well, I'm saying, so you read 4 books a month. You read 48 books a year. Which book is directed towards your dream? So you read 43 books that had nothing to do. And I'm not saying don't read. I'm saying I'd rather read one book that's going to keep me aligned with where I'm trying to go than to read 43 that is just filling my mind with information that's not productive. So you're just smart and stuck. Guidance also brings about accountability. I'm going to talk about that specifically today. The kind of accountability that says, you said you were going to do this in 30 days. If you don't do it, there are going to be consequences. We're going to hold you to it. If you get there, we're going to have rewards. They're in place. They're systemic. The fifth thing that successful people do is they get to it. They just get to it. Like, you know what hurts a lot of people from ever accomplishing anything in life? They spend so much time preparing, they never move. You spend so much time studying how to write a book, you never write it. You spend so much time on the cover of the book. What should be on the cover? I think it should be a picture. You never write the first word. You spend so much time writing the curriculum for a course you need to teach people instead of just going in with 30% of the curriculum and just jump in there. You're going to have to do the rest after you start teaching. I'm saying you can get caught up in the paralysis of analysis. Just get to it, man. This preaching already good. Now, when it comes to sexual purity, all this matters. Let me help you understand why sexual purity is so important. I did not write these rules. I'm only going to read them and I'm going to expound on them today. The rule is, y'all, I know this is going to be a bombshell. Here's the rule. You're not supposed to have sexual intercourse if you're not married. Rule 1, you're not supposed to have sexual intercourse if you're not married. Rule 1A, even if you're married, you're only supposed to have sex with the person you're married to. So that means if you had an orgasm lately, you sinned if you're not married. Look at your faces. Look. Unless you got one at night, you were asleep, you don't know what happened. You thank the Lord for it. Say, thank you, Lord. Thank you. I appreciate that because I was just, you knew, Lord. I don't know who that was, but thank you. You cannot have an intentional orgasm, not even by yourself. Maybe I should talk about masturbation. Anything you do outside of God's express parameters, sex is housed in marriage. That's God's boundary, right? And it's there to protect us. Now, so if I'm doing anything outside of that, I am practicing sexual sin. That's the rule book. So now, how do I win that battle? In a culture, because when you talk about battling racial injustice and social injustice and sexism and gender injustice, you're talking about something systemic. You're talking about something out there that's in society. When you talk about fighting the sexual purity battle, that's not just systemic, and it is. It is definitely in our culture, but it's also personal. See, the sexual purity battle is not just about the enemy outside of me. It's about the enemy that's in me. It's about the freak in me. You know that song by Mary Mary, It's the God in me? How many of you know it ain't just God in you? See, okay, look at Colossians 3:5. I want to show you where this whole idea evolved. I was reading through Colossians, and I saw this verse in Colossians 3:5, and it says, so put to death the sinful earthly lurking. Let me put it. So put to death the sinful earthly things lurking within you. Have nothing to do with sexual immorality, impurity, lust, and evil desires. Don't be greedy, for a greedy person is an idolater, worshiping the things of this world. Look at that first sentence. So put to death the sinful earthly things lurking within you. How many of you know that even though you're saved, you got some stuff lurking in you? Let me see your hands if you know you got something lurking. Okay, for those of you who didn't raise your hand, your lurking is a lying, it's a spirit of lying lurking in you. The reality is it doesn't matter how saved you are, there is always something that not even the blood got to. It's lurking. And if you don't shut it down, it'll start working. And if it's a freak thing in you, it might start twerking. How many of you admit you got something in you that if God don't shut it down, Lord, it's lurking. And here's what Colossians says. Colossians says, put it to death. Ooh, how do you kill it? That sucker resurrects, doesn't it? The way it's written in the Greek language, it's a slow death. It's not a volatile, sudden death like you can just cut it off. It means it's a death by process. It means to age out. So the way you put to death, and I put to death something that's lurking in us, you have to starve it. Never feed what you're supposed to kill. When you feed it, you give it strength. You have to neglect it. The reason why it's in check is because you don't feed it. So how do you not feed it? How do you not feed it? Several things I want to give you. First of all, this is not going to come in order. I'm just going to say them as I think about it. First of all, you have to put it in a healthy environment. Everybody say environment. So the problem is I'm giving these points and they ain't in the right order, so they're not going to come on the screen, I don't think. So environment. You have to create an environment that will help you win the battle. Everybody say environment. Environment is anything outside of yourself. You might want to take the numbers off because they're going to be off. Anything outside of yourself that influences you. That can be things and people. Environment. Environment is critical to our success. I cannot have a sexually pure life with a sexually impure environment. Right? I got to create an environment that supports my goal. Environment is not just things, it's also people. Like if I'm around sexually impure people all the time, what makes me think that that environment won't rub off on me? And it's not just the primary people I'm around, it's the secondary people I'm around. In other words, it's my primary people's primary people. Okay, I'm going somewhere now. So you have to understand the danger of secondary associations. Your circle has a circle. If your circle feeds you, they're feeding you what they got from their circle. All right, let me do it like this. In the world of nutrition, any of us that eat animals, and I do, but if you what the health, you don't eat animals, bless your heart. Anybody that eats animals, the world of medication, the world of nutrition understands it's not just that we're eating an animal, we're also being impacted by what the animal eats. You understand that? That's why they're more concerned now about putting the animals in an environment where the animal is eating more natural stuff. Because if I eat the animal, I'm impacted by what the animal ate. That way, if I go get some fish, it's one thing to get a farm-raised fish, which is in a bunch of stuff. It's another thing to get a wild-caught fish, which is out in something natural. It's a whole different world. Are you understand what I'm saying? What I'm trying to say is you have a circle, and your circle is eating somewhere. Whatever your circle is eating, you're going to eat from that too. You understand? So all environment, you have to create an environment in your life that moves you towards your goal. What's your circle like? What's your circle like? You cannot be sexually impure. In other words, if you're single, you can't have somebody sleeping over your house that's single, like that you're attracted to. That's an environment that's not going to win. Like y'all living together, that environment won't work. You can't have him come over or her come over, and you not only are y'all alone, but then you playing slow jams. I'm not even trying to be funny. That's like. See, here's the thing. Here's another thing right here. I'm going to write this down. Write this down. You're supposed to run from temptation, not resist it. The Bible never says resist temptation. It says run from it. That's not running. The Bible never says stand up to say, how you going to stand? I'm just going to stand. You're in a strip club. I'm just going to stand. If you're naked and they're naked, let me tell you what ain't about to happen. Y'all won't be standing long. The Bible says it is in 2 Timothy 2:22, it says, run from anything that stimulates youthful lust. Run from anything that stimulates youthful lust. Run. It's hard to tell adults to run because we're grown. You just do what you want to do. But what if you're doing what you want to do is hurting your life reach its fullest potential? Because you're not living the way God wants you to in this area. Run. It's easier to avoid temptation than it is to resist it or to overcome it. Stay away. Make moves. Make moves. Putting yourself in that situation going to have you set up. Being around this situation going to have you set up and distracted. Make your moves. Help yourself win. Make sure the environment is right. Make sure you run. And not just run. Look at 2 Timothy 2:22 again. It says, don't just run from youthful lust. It says run and pursue after righteousness. See, there's something we should be running towards too. If you're married, here's another way of overcoming sexual impurity or winning the sexual purity battle, is you got to run towards your marriage. Every married person has been given a gift by God. And that gift by God is your sexual needs are supposed to be met within the context of your marriage. So when you have sexual desires, God created you with sexual desires so that you can meet one another's sexual needs. It is your responsibility to meet one another's sexual needs. That's a biblical responsibility. In fact, in Proverbs chapter 5, there's a scene in Proverbs chapter 5 that is describing infidelity. It's describing adultery. And the Bible says, it's telling the man on the one hand, stay away from that adulteress. Stay away from her. But then it says, don't just stay away. Don't just run from her. Run to your wife. Look at verse 15 of Proverbs 5. It says, drink water from your own well. Share your love only with your wife. Why spill the water of your springs in the streets having sex with just anyone? You should reserve it for yourselves. Never share it with strangers. Let your wife be a fountain of blessing for you. Rejoice in the wife of your youth. Verse 19, she is a loving deer and a graceful doe. Let her breast satisfy you always. May you always be captivated by her love. That is, see, it's one thing. One of the ways we avoid being sick is we stay away from sick people. So we don't want people coughing on us. Another way of getting sick, of avoiding sickness, is staying healthy. You stay away from the sickness of adultery by making sure your marriage is sexually healthy. When it's not, that's one of the ways that God created. In fact, that's a shout right there from the glory of God. That baby shouted. 1 Corinthians chapter 7. I'm just going to show y'all what the Bible says about this. I'm not making this up. This is God's plan. God plan. Now, regarding the questions you asked in your letter, yes, it is good to abstain from sexual relations. But because there is so much sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife, and each woman should have her own husband. The husband should fulfill his wife's sexual needs, and the wife should fulfill her husband's needs. That's how it works. The wife gives authority over her body to her husband, and the husband gives authority over his body to his wife. Do not deprive each other of sexual relations. I don't even want to look over there and see what he... Come on. That's what I told you. I heard a song in my head behind that. Do a little dance, make a little love, and get down tonight. Tonight. Do not deprive each other of sexual relations unless you both agree to refrain from sexual intimacy for a limited time so you can give yourselves more completely to prayer. Y'all ain't praying like that. This for spiritual people. Afterwards, you should come together again so that Satan won't be able to tempt you because of your lack of self-control. I say this as a concession, not as a command. Next thing, but I wish everyone were single just as I am, yet each person has a special gift from God of one kind or another. So I say to those who aren't married and to widows, it's better to stay unmarried just as I am. But if they can't control themselves, they should go ahead and marry. It's better to marry than to burn with lust. So if you're single, not only if you're married and you have sexual challenges, you should be satisfying that in marriage. If you're single and you can't control yourself sexually, you're supposed to be trying to get married. Hello? I'll be waiting. And I'm not saying run into it recklessly, but I'm saying you're not supposed to be having sex, man. Like, what happened to that message? Like, we don't even want to say it to people. You wouldn't believe how many people walked out of the services today. Just walked out. Like, I can't take it. You would say, like it's just like, this is real, man. You're not supposed to be doing that. So here's the alternative. Get married. Like, you can get married and you can have sex and don't even have to repent. Because I'm going to tell you something. Let me tell you something about a man. This is a fact about a man. When a man is sexually tempted, everything in him goes up. Not just his sexual organ. His adrenaline goes up. His heart rate goes up. His passion goes up. His creativity. Everything in him goes up. When he is finished and he has an orgasm, everything in him goes down, particularly if it was sinful. And I mean everything goes down, not just the sexual organ, his feelings, his self-worth, his confidence in God's love. Everything in him goes down. He hits a cataclysmic depth of depression that's hard to describe. Because let me tell you something. Let me explain something to you. When you're really saved, you can't commit sexual sin and it not bother you. It'll bother you. When you know it's wrong, you're not supposed to do it. When you do it, it bothers you. Even if you felt like you deserved it, when it's over, it bothers you. That's the problem with being saved. Sin bothers us. If you weren't saved, you could just do it all the time. When you're married, when a man is married and he's finished, everything doesn't just go down. He just goes to sleep. But a married man can't even be satisfied with pornography. He'll still be frustrated if it's not his wife. God made you as a woman to be the only person that can genuinely satisfy him sexually. I don't mean in pleasure, I mean in peace. On his soul level. That's a fact. That's a fact. So when we talk about getting married, it's a very sacred thing. That's why, and let me say this, this is where the women get upset. A lot of women get upset because they're like, you know what, I'm not, I ain't trying to, you're trying to hear that because he always someone getting married. Who we going to marry? Let the women outnumber the men, and it's just not enough men out here available. And I feel you on that because there's a disproportionate number. But I want to say this: some of you ladies, and this is going to sound a little, maybe even condescending, and it may even sound like it's definitely not popular. But if it's helpful, I'm gonna say it. So here's what I want to tell you: maybe you need to amend your criteria for what you would consider husband material. See, because some of y'all try to act like it's all about the character of a man. But the truth be told, y'all want a man that's fine with money. That's what you want. And I'm saying fine money. That's what I'm saying. That's a small group. So now you into his loot and his looks, which limits. Woo! How about the males? Now you're into his looks and his loot, which limits. Now you have a small criteria of people that you can work with. And so what if he looks good and he has a lot of money? If he mistreats you, he cheats on you, and he beats you. And maybe none of that's happening. But you got to say, maybe I need to expand the group, and it doesn't have to be some buff, bald-head chocolate man that work at Gold's Gym. Maybe you could say, I can deal with brown skin, I can deal with light skin. He don't have to be bald head. Like you gotta create some more space and say, does he have character? Is he faithful? Does he love God? Does he fear God? Does he take care of his responsibilities? Is he fiscally responsible? Does he keep his promises? You understand? Like stuff like that matters. Now we got a broader spectrum to work with. Let me tell you another reason why a lot of women don't get married. I'm really writing a book about this and a lot of other things. It's called Side Chickology. Pray for me. I'm going to try to get it out this year. I'm making myself accountable to y'all. Side Chickology, what you don't know can hurt you. One of the chapters I'm writing about is the difference between a wife mentality and a girlfriend mentality. I think a lot of women will be girlfriends the rest of their life because you have a girlfriend mentality. A girlfriend mentality, I'm going to break it down to you. A girlfriend mentality is when a woman is just happy that she's a part of a man's life. She doesn't view herself as the number one priority in his life, even ahead of his mother. I think I told y'all this story before. I remember one time, let me tell you why I know my wife got a wife mentality. One time my wife told me about my mother, I think your mother won't be married to you. And oh Lord, that was oh, I know you ain't go there because that's my mother and that's nasty. But when she was right. My mother didn't want to let me go. She wanted to be first in my life, and she would call and make those kind of requests and demand, and Vicky sensed it. And I remember when I went down, when two of us went down, and I had to talk to my mother and my stepfather to let them know she was first. That was a big shift for me. And see, when a woman has a wife's mentality, she knows she's not supposed to be second to anybody but God. That's a mentality. But you just glad to be on the list. You understand what I'm saying? You cool to be in the bullpen. That's a relief. That's not a relationship. The pitchers in the bullpen, you ever know what a relief pitcher is? I've said this on the video, you may have seen it. A relief pitcher, by the way, doesn't even sit with the rest of the team. Relief pitchers sit way out in something called the bullpen. They don't even get to sit with the team. And they're only called upon when the starter ain't acting right. Ooh, this so good, I'm going to buy this tape. And then they only come in at the end of the game. It's like late, 1 a.m. And when they're called on, they don't even call them by name. They only say, Johnson, come here. They don't even say, Jackson, come here. They just go like this. That means I want a right arm pitcher, or a left like this, left arm pitcher. In other words, they're just a body part. When you see yourself as a girlfriend, you're just a 1 a.m. body part booty call. But that's the team you decide to play on. See, you have to understand the mentality of a man. A man will only play with something he doesn't intend to own. He's playing with you. I only play with stuff I ain't trying to buy. If I'm renting it, I don't treat it right. If I own the car, I'm cleaning it. I'm putting 93 octane in it. Let me rent a car. I dare. See, if I put 93 in this, I'm putting 87 in a Benz. I don't care what it is. 87, I ain't brushing it. I might take it through a car wash. I ain't getting the detail. That's how you treat stuff you don't own. And when you're a girlfriend, you're rental property. Yeah. And then you hide it. It's another sign that you're a girlfriend when you're comfortable being hidden from public view. Like, this relationship got to be private. You even have a private wedding. He won't even let nobody tell you you're married. How you going to take the vows, the most important vows in your life, and the people that matter in your life want to be able to be a part of it? How's he going to have the audacity to marry you without getting your father's permission or somebody that matters to you to evaluate him to see if he's legit? And you done let him do that because you just want to, on paper. And some of y'all ain't even a wife on paper. He just called you wifey because he getting the booty. That's the name. That's a booty name. Wifey. This is my wifey here. So you just like the name. Let me tell you the difference between a girl. Ooh. Now, let me dial it back. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. What I'm really trying to say is we really should just really evaluate how we handle relationships. That ain't even me. You know the difference between a wife mentality and a girlfriend mentality? A wife only has sex with her husband. That's her mentality. A wife's mentality is, I have sex with my husband. Let me tell you when I know you got a girlfriend mentality. It's when if you're having sex with somebody you're not married to, that tells me you have a girlfriend mentality. The fact that you're not married and you're not celibate tells me you have a girlfriend mentality. Because a wife only has sex with her husband. And so you're giving a man wife-level benefits, and he hadn't even made a marriage-level commitment to you. And I'm saying, if you've opened up your legs and your life like that, you can require that this will cease until we get married. Watch that clarity come to him. Watch how clear he gets. See, let me tell you another secret about a man. When a man found his wife, he knows it. He's not confused. Any man in here that's got his wife sitting there will agree to this. When you knew it, you're like, that's the one right there. That's the one right there. You with a man, he's like, I don't know, shorty. I just don't know what I don't know. You ain't the one. If you don't know, let me go till I meet the one that knows. Because you will remain in a state of ambiguity and indecision for 12 more years and giving up the booty. Let me tell you another sign that you're a girlfriend. A girlfriend mentality will finance their boyfriend's life. There are only two women. Ooh, y'all ready for this? There are only two women in a man's life that should be financing him. His mother and his wife. And you are neither. And if he's 42 years old and his mother's still paying his rent and paying for his cell phone, he ain't a man anyway. Now, here's the question. Why are you co-signing on a car for him, letting him stay with you, helping him with his rent, and he's not your husband? I don't care what kind of sob story you get, and you're giving him booty. See, anybody that's a lifetime girlfriend will rarely become a full-time wife. I take a deep breath. It's rough today. It's rough. It's rough. This is part one. I had to start soft. Okay. Let me give you some more points so we can keep moving. I say this. If you're a married man, don't keep score. This really helps with sexual purity. See, when you're a married man and you keep score, anytime a person's keeping score, they're always winning. By keeping score, I mean it's the man who always quantifies his contribution to the relationship. So he always got in his mind or out of his mouth how much he's contributed. I'm working, I'm paying the bill, I'm protecting the house, I'm providing for the house, I mops, I cleans. He is meticulously aware of what he's done, but he often overlooks what she's done. He's keeping score, so he's always winning. I always tell y'all, if I ever play spades against somebody, I don't lose because I always keep score. I know it ain't right, but I'm just saying, ain't no way I'm keeping score and losing. we don't have to ask questions how I got there. How do you bump? I thought you bumped right there. Where did we get? That's how we won. I beat you with the pencil. When a man is keeping score, he will always have expectations. I put it down. It's your turn to put it down. So he'll feel entitled, like, I do all this, I don't understand why I can't. And I'm saying, if you keep score, you will always be frustrated. Stop keeping score. Stop keeping score. Be humble. Sit down. See, you knew it was coming. It's hard to tell a man to not keep score because we've been keeping score all our life. That's what we do as men, keeping score. We take a rock out the lake and say, I'll skip it 3 times. You say, I get 4. No, you can't. Yes, I can. Can not. Can too. Rock, paper, scissors. We just compete over everything. Last one to the door, rotten egg. That's all we do all the time. We just do something like this and be like this. Bet I can make mine fall on the paper. You can't do that. Do it again. Do it again. Just anything. Every month, the pastors of Zion Church, all the pastors from the campus, we go out together once a month. Every month, whoever the pastor of that month is picks where we go. We've gone places like to New York for a play. We'll go to amusement parks. We go to restaurants. And inevitably, every time we go to Dave and Buster's, every time, I don't care where we are, we start competing. Now we got pastors almost 60 years old. It never fails. Somebody up there shooting game, our elbow could be hurt, knee hurts. I'm going to shoot too. I can do it. You ain't got what you got. Count who gonna go. I bet I can ride the roller coaster. I can get on the roller coaster. I can get on that roller coaster and not put my hand. I can go with my hands up the whole time. You ain't had your hands up. I seen your hand hit the ground. Mine's up the whole time. You was looking down like this. Where I did one hand, whether it 2, what I did one hand. It's just, we can be outside and something be up like this. I'm serious. Just we walking down the street or walking through a mall and be like, I bet you can't touch that. So somebody, no, don't go back here. Or just one step off the vertical. Just go off the vertical. Oh man, I can get that 2 hands off the vertical. Go ahead, do it off the. Just grown men. That's all we do is keep score. But if you're doing it in your marriage, that evolution of thought that I'm winning and I'm not being rewarded will turn into a porn addiction and it'll turn into a full-blown affair. If your wife is not matching what you think she should be matching, don't keep score. One more thing, I think I'm done. Accountability. A lot of people try to manage struggles alone. Like the self-help world has really fed into our thinking that we can do anything by ourselves. We don't need a team. The problem with that is most addiction is escalated in isolation. Addiction recovery requires community. Any struggle we have is going to require not just in the right environment, but the right support around us. Look at Ecclesiastes 4. Let me look at that. Ecclesiastes 4 says this in verse 9. Thank you, Melvin. 2 people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. That's so true, right? Let's go down to verse 12. Let me go down to verse 12 if we can. A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but 2 can stand back to back and conquer. 3 are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. That's the power of community. We need support, particularly as men. I told y'all over and over, I've been telling you recently a lot, that this thing is so powerful with men. The sexual drive of a man is so powerful. I told y'all, men operate from brain to groin. That's real. All this, they ain't even all open yet. So much, it's such a dominant part of our body, y'all, that if this is not working down here, we'll put a pill in this head to make this one act right. Forget the side effects. The side effect, we can go blind, but we're going to, I don't know where you are, but come here. We'll OD on a blue pill. I know of a man that committed suicide because he was impotent. He had a brain injury, came out of the brain injury. Everything else was working, but he was impotent. He took his life. Forget his family, forget his purpose, forget his mission. If that ain't working, I need to leave. I know men that had prostate cancer, and when the treatment to get rid of the cancer could risk impotency, they say, well, I'm going to have to try another treatment. Cancer going to eat the body up, but don't touch this. Anything that powerful needs accountability. How are you going to control that by yourself? Willpower is not enough to win this battle. Willpower will run out. Willpower, even if you got 98% willpower, like 98%, I'm 98% committed, I'm 98%, I'm going to do this. What happens when you're in the right environment or the wrong environment and then that 2% come out? You got to have people around you who will challenge you and say, I'm not getting off the phone with you till you get out of that house. I'm not getting off the phone with you till she leaves. You understand what I'm saying? I'm talking about people that love you that much. Not because they're jealous, but because they want to see you win. Because you made it public. You made yourself accountable. But see, we don't do that kind of stuff. We play with it. We ain't trying to hold anybody accountable. We're not even trying to be accountable to anybody. Here's my greatest accountability partner in this probably is my wife. Who better to hold me accountable for sexual purity than my wife? So one of the things that's got to be accountable is my phone. Like, I'm so glad we've been married 29 years. It wasn't always this way, but I can leave the dinner table out with my wife and leave the phone on in front of her and walk to the bathroom. Don't matter. Some other brother be like, shoot, man, look at that, man, shoot. When he had it, hey, don't know what's going to pop up. I'm saying you got to invest in cleaning up your life and your circles and your website visits and all of that stuff. Anytime a man, let me tell you another secret. Man got his phone face down, man down. He don't want nope. You turn it off. The phone has never lied. The peace you can sleep with, not having anything to hide in your phone because you're accountable. The environment is helping you win. That's what a wife does. She protects too, right? So there needs to be a level of accountability. I can't see your phone. Oh, okay. But you want to see me naked. I can't see your phone. You seeing everything. I'm saying that's a girlfriend mentality. How's he getting that and you can't get this? It's a phone drop. Somebody felt that in the spirit. Part 2, we're going to get really deep. Okay, we're done. Listen. What I hope, this is my hope. I really mean this. I really want to help. I want to be helpful. Like, I don't know what this kind of preaching does for you because I've never heard this. Like, I don't have a history for this. When I grew up in church, something like that, they didn't talk like this about nothing. I'm trying to think if I heard something like this, if me and my boys would have went and say, man, we got to fix this, man. Like, we got to work on this. Like, I'm hoping that you do something like that and not just like just pardon that. Like, let me go on business as usual. And like, I just have an exclusive sexual relationship with this person. I'm saying, if marriage is the fence around sex. Anytime you take something that's sacred and you take it out of its context where it was created to dwell, it's a violation. And when you have promiscuity in dating, it trains you for infidelity in marriage. It's a pattern. It's a pattern. There has to be boundaries. The fence of marriage has to be respected. So I'm hoping somebody says, you know what, I got to get with some people and fix this in my life. I got to change my environment. I got to do something so I can win in this area because maybe you're not. I can tell you this. Since my life has been clean, my marriage has gone up, my ministry's gone up, my money's gone up. Everything going up. I ain't gonna lie to you. If nothing else, I'm clear. I'm focused. I'm not distracted. Could it be that that area of your life is so distracted now that it's keeping you from really making traction? Distraction keeps you from traction. Let me pray with you. Father, I thank you for this time. I thank you for the opportunity to serve. I thank you for this service. I thank you for the people that you've privileged me to talk to today. And I pray that we're not just listening, but we're learning. And I pray that we're not only learning, but we're going to be living the things that we learned. I pray that you provide for us the kind of support in our lives that we need to grow in this area. The right circle, the right support. I pray that we'll make whatever environmental changes we need to get this right. And I pray that we'll be more than just hearers of your word, but doers. In Jesus' name, amen.